This image shows an Israeli Merkava tank moving through a dusty urban environment. When the conflict began, the world expected a war fought like this: tanks rolling through streets, airstrikes leveling city blocks, and highly visible ground invasions. But Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the October 7th attacks, planned for a different kind of war. He retreated deep into the 300 miles of tunnels beneath Gaza and abandoned digital technology. He carried no phone, used no internet, and relied strictly on trusted couriers, attempting to operate entirely as a ghost. His calculation missed a vulnerability being exploited hundreds of miles away. Inside secure, climate-controlled office buildings like this one in Tel Aviv, rooms full of analysts fed a quiet machinery of data processing, building a psychological and geographic profile from safety. Modern intelligence avoids looking directly at a target. Instead, it maps the behavioral network of every single person operating around them. Every call a courier makes, every text a bodyguard sends, and every interaction with a civilian draws another connection line on a digital map. Complete avoidance of technology is a highly specific routine. Moving strictly every 3 days, always checking 3 exits, and traveling with exactly 2 bodyguards creates a measurable rhythm. In modern espionage, the effort to remain invisible produces a distinct signature. Look at this representation of the intelligence dragnet placed over southern Gaza. 6 different satellites provided continuous coverage. Layers of thermal imaging tracked body heat. Ground-penetrating radar mapped the tunnel networks below, and cellular triangulation pinged every active phone within a 2-kilometer radius. Terabytes of raw data carry a specific limitation. Algorithms track movement, but they struggle to verify intent. A heat signature cannot tell an analyst if it belongs to a militant commander or a civilian scavenging for food. To translate data into actionable targets, the agency needed human eyes on the ground. They recruited civilians embedded in the daily machinery of the city. A food distributor tracked off-hour deliveries. A medical worker tracked tunnel infections. A driver transported hidden commanders. Communicating through encrypted proxies, these informants were motivated by the grief of losing family to internal purges and a desperation to end the fighting. Feeding human observations into the surveillance model, the disparate data points snapped together. Algorithms synthesized courier routes with thermal and tunnel maps, isolating a movement radius. By September, this hybrid model calculated a 78% probability of the target's location. 78% leaves a margin of error measured in human lives. A missed strike would kill dozens of civilians, trigger massive international condemnation, and hand the target a propaganda victory. Before dropping a weapon, the operators required certainty. That certainty arrived on October 16th. A high-altitude camera captured 3 men moving through civilian ruins. Facial recognition software factored in age, weight changes, and stress, comparing the central figure's gait to the psychological profile built over decades. In 4.3 seconds, the algorithm returned a match probability of 96.7%. This drone, circling at 18,000 feet, armed its weapon and locked its targeting computer onto the coordinates. The command traveled through encrypted channels from Tel Aviv, starting a 10-second countdown to impact. 8 seconds. The target stepped over broken concrete, moving steadily toward a tunnel entrance. 5 seconds. The shot was clean, with a clear line of sight. 4 seconds. Suddenly, on the secondary feed, operators spotted a 9-year-old girl on a bicycle pedaling fast toward the exact same intersection. Aborting the strike required commander authorization, taking a minimum of 15 seconds. At 2 seconds to impact, the drone operator made a split-second calculation. Based on her trajectory, she would likely miss the kill zone. He kept his hand off the abort button. The explosion was engineered to force maximum energy downward with minimal lateral spread, neutralizing the target exactly 2.4 meters below the detonation point. Knocked sideways by the shockwave outside the lethal radius, the girl on the bicycle survived. Minutes later, a fast insertion special forces team landed on site, securing tissue samples for DNA verification in exactly 6 minutes before extracting under the threat of incoming reinforcements. The genetic markers matched to a 99.8% confidence level. Eliminating the leader served as a meticulously planned catalyst designed to shatter the organization's structure and trigger a far more volatile phase of the war. Within hours, the militant group released statements confirming the death. They framed him as a martyr who died fighting in the open, using the narrative as a recruitment tool to maintain morale and project unwavering strength to their followers. Behind closed doors, intercepted communications revealed a chaotic tower vacuum. Surviving commanders were immediately thrust into a power struggle, arguing over succession, legitimacy, and who now controlled the remaining resources. This chart illustrates a core principle of intelligence warfare. The best time to strike an organization is immediately after you cut off the head. Mossad deployed black propaganda, planting false information and anonymous tips to make commanders suspicious of one another. Then they followed up with rapid, surgical assassinations of key successors, using car bombs and untraceable poisons. The organization turned on itself, executing suspected informants on mere suspicion. When a teacher in Gaza was killed because her brother was under investigation, her students and neighbors watched. That specific act of internal brutality converted observers into active participants, driving them to find the handlers they once feared. Mossad harvested these new grievances, feeding them back into the network to keep the intelligence flowing. The net tightened far beyond Gaza. Intelligence agencies tracked and froze financial assets in Qatar and Turkey, intercepting cryptocurrency transfers and blocking supply chains. By early 2025, fighters were going months without pay, and tunnel construction stalled because they couldn't afford the materials. This is the reality of modern warfare. It relies on a perpetual mathematical cycle. Taking out a target fractures a network and creates chaos, which produces fresh data points. That new data feeds the algorithms, updates probability scores, and waits patiently in the shadows for the next commander to make a fatal mistake.